Hi, everyone. Welcome to Shine a Light Podcast. I have my guest today, Lisa Sharapata, who I have known and had the privilege to know for almost a decade now, although it's been a while since we've chatted. So I am so excited to have her here today and to have her share some of her experience and amazing insights, not only as someone in the field of marketing, but just as a human being, because she's so connected. So let me tell you a little bit about Lisa and then we'll jump in. So Lisa is a two-time CMO, an advisor, and a revenue partner with 20 years of experience transforming marketing, I love this, Lisa, into an engine that fuels business growth. Because that is what marketing's supposed to do, but it doesn't always do that. So she doesn't just lead marketing, she aligns teams and go-to-market teams, drives strategic change, and creates measurable impact. So your career goes way back. We'll talk a lot about that, a little bit more about that. But welcome, Lisa. It's so good to see you.
Thanks so much for having me here. It's great to be here. It's great to see you again, too.
You too. Where are you living these days?
Yeah, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. So,
okay.
I mean, when we were working together, I was in Chicago and we moved here a couple of years ago. Love it.
Love it.
It's been great.
You still have a little Chicago in you there, I hear. That's good. Yes.
I always will.
Yes. You're from Chicago, right?
Accent.
Don't lose the accent.
No.
So that's the short business side of you. So tell us a little bit about Lisa, what you're doing now, how you help people, and then we'll go back and talk about where it started and go from there.
Yeah, so I'm currently working at Metadata and I'm the VP of AI and go-to-market strategy. I'll say that is kind of my twist on putting together the world of being a CMO and where I think the market's going and really pushing myself kind of to my limits and learning more about AI. And, I've always been kind of an end-to-end thinker and how everything's connected anyway with marketing to revenue. And so kind of looking at that big picture of go-to-market across the entire kind of buyer's journey.
So you're pushing yourself, meaning this is a whole new world, not only for us, but for you in some ways, I would imagine, even though you're more familiar because it's transforming so quickly, if I get you.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think we're all learning as we go. There's maybe some people who would call themselves experts, but they know more than I do, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But, it's also new that how can you really... you can't know it all.
Yeah. So metadata does what? Tell us about metadata.
Yeah. So metadata is a digital advertising platform and they've been around for about a decade.
Okay.
And when I got here, I was like thinking to myself, wow, 3 years ago, this would have been super advanced, but now they're just kind of leading at the forefront of what I think is the current like product market fit. So they're using things like AI agents, for example, like a bid agent to help optimize bids in real time. They have multivariate testing, AI and machine learning, things like that to help kind of beat the algorithm, I would call it. And we just launched an MCP server connector, so you can actually run all of this right from ChatGPT or Claude. So
wow.
It's been just very leading edge and again, transformational, and even how I'm thinking about running my marketing, being able to just prompt, I call it prompt to pipeline, where I'm just in there, I can like prompt my way to launch campaigns and,
it's amazing and scary.
Right,
People, this excites and scares me. Right. And so it's an amazing tool. And the fear that comes with this is, is it going to replace us? Is it going to change us? How's it going to work? So I know from working together, because to take the listeners back, we worked together at a company that you were working as the chief marketing officer as well, helping the sales team and marketing team really collaborate to, guess what, understand the customer as best they could so that they could really tell the right story. And so now, obviously, we still need humans to do that, but AI is helping us figure out how to say the right things, but how do you ask it the right questions? Take us into the world of how do you use AI in a way that really gets to the heart of what the customer needs?
Well, okay, that's a loaded question. So I'll kind of start at the 10,000 foot view, which is I still believe strongly, as strongly as I did 10 years ago when we were working together, that people buy from people they like and trust, and that really brand and relationships matter a lot. And in this world where people can ask ChatGPT a question, right? You're hoping that your brand shows up there in their response. And so there's shifts that you have to make as a marketer to help make sure you show up there versus before when people were searching Google.
I see.
Right. So there's some of that going on that is very important changes in how marketers need to work.
Okay.
And knowing that is important. But at the end of the day, the sales team, more of the research can be done for you by AI. Things can be served up at your fingertips, but knowing how to use it, knowing what to say when, having that discernment of this is crossing the line, or this doesn't sound quite right, and maybe I should do a little bit more research here before I hit send. I think that actually becomes more important than ever, those human skills, because not only that, but this is a shift that's been happening for a long time.
Yeah.
And people don't really want to talk to sales until they have to.
Right.
And so, that Gartner had a research report out years ago that I think it was by like 2027, 80% of research would be done online before somebody would come to talk to sales. And now we're seeing that, oh, this is actually real and how that's actually able to happen. But when they are,
okay,
they're much more informed and they're much more interested in buying. But there's still that human part where, like, I want to talk to someone about this. I really want to feel it out and see if it's an expensive purchase on top of it. Show me it. Let me ask you some more questions. Can you tell me somebody else who did this and validate? And I think that last 20% becomes even more important
to differentiate. Right. My mind always goes to a clothing store because not that I go to a store much anymore, but when I do and somebody says, "May I help you?" my immediate answer is absolutely not. Don't ask me. And I want to look around the store and scan. And then when I can't find the sweater or the pants that I'm looking for, then I want to ask for help. So it's kind of metaphorically similar. We got to look around the store before we want to talk to somebody about what we might want to buy. But there's just a natural inclination. Don't sell to me, isn't there?
Yeah. And even it's like, then you're in the dressing room and you need a different size.
Yes.
Right. And then you're like, hi,
help me. What's your name? You did tell me to. I said, I absolutely don't need any help. I'm just looking. So people want to browse before they buy. So the AI is getting that person further down, ready to talk to somebody. But once they do, then we better be more connected. So tell me more about you and how. Take me back, Lisa, to the very beginning. One of the things we talked about when we worked together is what's the one word that describes why you do what you do, and not somewhat what you do. So why marketing for you? How young were you when all this started?
Okay, well, if we're gonna go way back, I wanted to be an astronaut.
Wow.
And I went to space camp. I mean, I was obsessed. I begged my parents for, I think it was 6-7 years to send me to space camp. I mean, this was, again, obsession.
And how old are you at this point?
Oh, well, it started when I was in 4th grade.
Wow.
And the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded. And
that was an awful day for those who weren't alive. I was at college and in the local pizza place when that happened, when that blew up. That was awful. Yeah.
Yeah. We were watching it as a classroom because there was a teacher, the first teacher on the flight. And I just thought, wow, what a cool thing to get to do. And I want to do that. I want to go on a mission to space, and so then watching movies and all the things. And I just, really got into it. And finally, I was 15 when I went to space camp.
Oh, you went to space
And
camp.
I
Oh, this is
went. Yeah,
fascinating.
I
Cool.
went. And when I got there, I knew this. The first thing they do is they give you a test. And, I didn't know all the things that they tested you on. I'm studying all this science stuff, right? But they also do personality testing and then a bunch of things, and then they put you with a group and you get a role on your mission. And I got third in my group, and I was like, oh, okay. Because, there's a lot of really smart people.
Sure. You mean hold on, you tested third, or you're in rank?
Yeah.
Okay. So you were third in command? What does this mean? Yeah.
Yes. Well, this is what it means. I was in charge of mission control. So first is pilot, second was co-pilot, then there's mission control. I was not on the space shuttle.
Wow, you're not going, you're metaphorically going to the moon.
And then you've got your other people in mission control doing stuff, right? And then, everybody gets a chance at space camp to go, but for my main mission, I was mission control. But fast forward, and that was kind of the beginning of the end of the whole I'm going to be an astronaut thing for me. And then I took physics, and I actually did not understand it at all. I'm like, okay, I get the gravity's happening, but this math equation to prove it, like these letters and numbers.
I need golf to figure out physics. I realized physics and golf are the same thing,
and
but
so they moved me into a graphic design class, and the rest is history. I ended up going into school for that and design and communications, and working at an advertising agency coming out, and then pretty quickly realized I like to be closer to the customer. I want to understand the strategy behind what we're trying to accomplish. More of this form follows function kind of methodology. And having someone tell me, oh, make that smaller. I don't like that picture. I'm like, but why? What are we trying to accomplish? What's the problem we're trying to solve? Who are we trying to reach? What are we trying to get them to do? And so I ended up going in-house and getting into B2B. I've done some B2B, B2C, and B2B2C.
Okay.
But I really like the B2B because I feel like there is, when you're kind of looking at a buying committee, there's complexity there.
It's not a simple sale. Yeah.
Right. But you really have to immerse yourself in it. And I'll say kind of had the aha moment probably around the time we were working together at a Primo, but I was like, this is kind of like mission control when you get into that CMO role where you're like, to get this campaign here and to get to the moon, I need all these things to work together, and I can see how they're connected and how I'm going to get this like demand gen campaign to pull through to pipeline to revenue, or the brand experience I need to create that is very holistic, around the entire customer journey, and even advocacy and that flywheel effect. And once I started kind of seeing how it all comes together, it's like, this is my sweet spot.
So disappointment when you became mission control at space camp, but it kind of set the groundwork for understanding what you're good at and what you really ultimately like. But the word explore comes to my mind because you didn't go to space camp unless you want to explore other things. There's a lot of exploration in marketing, isn't there? Yeah.
Yeah. And, I like that idea of exploration. I like the idea of thinking outside the box, trying something no one's done before. But, it doesn't have to be going to Mars or something.
No, it's so, I think, look, I so appreciate you sharing that because I think that's just so important that people realize that there's something inside of all of us that started early that really helps us figure out kind of what makes us passionate and tick. We're just not used to making those kinds of connection. So, I mean, what a great, nobody was sending me to space camp. So that's what I would have been like down at I would have been emptying the trash or something, but that's so cool. That's so cool that you wanted to do that. So wonderful. So what is it for you now that, I know you love the work, but how are you bringing teams together? What do you think works in terms of being that mission control person that really aligns teams the best way? Because I'm sure you have a lot of people coming to you every day and trying to bring sales and ops and everybody together.
Yeah, I mean, I think that first thing is having that vision, that dream. It doesn't have to be going to the moon or Mars, but when you're all excited about the thing you're trying to accomplish together and you know your role and you understand how you're going to impact the results, and you also get a chance to kind of bring your own ideas and play your part in it and learn new things along the way. I mean, I feel like that is part one. But then you also have to understand, there starts to become this kind of overlay of, okay, we've got this vision, we're on this mission together, we each have our roles, there's timelines, there's handoffs, and starting to understand your impact on each other. And there's this culture piece that sits over the top that I think really starts to make the difference between things working and things not working.
The culture piece meaning what for you?
Really, at the end of the day, it's about how teams are working together. If you're really going to simplify it down to the most simple definition.
Yeah, that doesn't just happen. There's a difference between a group and a team. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, I've been an athlete, and my kids have been involved in a bunch of stuff, and you see it. You can tell you can have a team, for example, a high school soccer team with 20 really amazing soccer players who are all stars in their clubs and really good, but bringing them together and creating a culture where they're going to play together, in a spring season, is a whole different thing.
Yeah, we're not really taught that necessarily, though, are we? So, I mean, I, as an athlete as well. And what was your sport of choice? What were your sports that you played?
My sport of choice was soccer. I played all team sports. Basketball and volleyball were my
so you could jump.
Ones.
You could actually jump.
See, that was kind of why soccer was
I was like, if I could have only jumped.
I had a good spike, a good dig, and I was a good defender. I could read passing lanes. I couldn't jump.
Yeah. Well, so once again, so this is what I love about you is that you know that. Not everybody knows that about themselves, their strengths, what they're not good at, even on the sports field. It's amazing. Because I play tennis now, I think that's such a part of it. Here's what comes to mind about what you said, just going back. You said you got to have a great vision, and be able to communicate that vision, right? That's an important thing. But then it's really what's the handoff. And that's always the second step of leadership, is getting the alignment and the buy-in around that and how people work together. My experience is that a lot of senior leaders are good at the vision part. They're really good at that, but sometimes struggle with the alignment part, or how to get the buy-in and the culture that you're. So what are what's your advice? What do you recommend? Because, how would you help other leaders say, this is really something practical you can do that helps bring that culture together?
Well, again, I think first thing is to get that alignment. People need to understand, okay, be excited about the vision, right? If they're not excited about the vision, it's just a no-go.
Yeah.
And frankly, as a leader, I think that's one of the first things I'm looking at discerning is like, does this person want to be here? Because if they don't, it's a very hard conversation, but it needs to happen sooner rather than later, because you're really only going to be as strong as your weakest link. I mean, I've seen it time and time again. Having people who are negative or not doing their part, not showing up, it brings everybody down.
Yeah.
And it's the fastest way to fail. So I'm really big on get the right team. And like, I even think about the Miracle on Ice, right? Where it's like everyone had a place, and it wasn't always the best, it had to be the best player. It was, how do they work together?
Yeah.
Are they showing up every day? Are they going to bring it? And it's that cohesion, that really makes the difference. So
don't be afraid to have those conversations if it's not working. There's a lot of fear around the conversation. There's sometimes a lot of fear around, if I don't have this person, I'm down a resource to get things done. But it's a trade-off, isn't it?
It is. I mean, and I've learned the hard way, if you don't have it early and often, and make the tough decision when you know that person is just not the right person.
Yeah.
And they're dragging the team down. You've got to cut bait.
Yeah.
And it's not fun, and it's not
supposed to be, right?
Honestly, it is easier than watching something fail or seeing other people who really are putting in the time and effort be frustrated because it's going into somebody else's hands who's then not pulling their weight. So
step one, don't accept poor performance. Deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, get the A team, get the team right, get the vision. Yeah.
Okay. So what else do you think is important around culture and how you develop that and help people thrive to execute on the vision?
So, I mean, another thing, again, I really think it's important for people to understand their impact on each other. So it's not just, do you want to be here? Are you bringing your best self? But, are you meeting deadlines? Are you collaborating and helping each other out when you need to? And when you're not, again, there needs to be a conversation, sometimes tough conversations. Sometimes the leader needs to get in the middle and facilitate that conversation. But at the end of the day, you've got to it's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
And you've got to get it working or make the changes and kind of get those problems out of the way. So again, it's not just about, okay, I'm an A player, but what's my impact on the rest of the team? What's my impact on this project? And I could be giving a ton of effort too, but if it's on the wrong things, if I'm not really moving the needle, or, I'm trying to force fit a square peg into a round hole and I can't see that.
Yeah.
And I'm not willing to, shift when I'm told, right? Like those things, again, there's this constant recalibration that needs to keep happening. And as a leader, you really have to have a pulse on it. And, as your team is evolving, as the project is evolving, it's not just a set it and forget it thing. It's like, okay, now let's have a pulse on how it's going. Do we need to intervene on anything? Do we need to recalibrate? Do we need to change some deadlines? Do we need to tweak the vision a little bit? And having there be that transparency and two-way conversations happening too, I think will make a big difference.
So it sounds like you're not just talking about the work product, you're talking about how people work together.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, again, it's back to what I'm saying culture is. It's how people are working together every day is really what makes the culture.
Yeah.
So, everyone has a bad day, but the grand scheme of things, right, is if I am pointing fingers at other people and passing blame for things not getting done, for example, that will start to erode the culture. Versus if I'm saying, you know what, I messed that up. Here's what I'm going to do to make it right. And, and the team is willing to forgive me,
move,
and we figure it out together. That is going to be a night and day different culture and also different results.
So how do you create these conversations? I don't want to take that for granted because not everyone is aware of how to really, you have 20 people in your team and you don't want to be in the middle of fighting between team members and them triangulating but how do you develop these conversations so that you're fostering this?
Yeah. You're kind of breaking up, but I think you were
Oh,
saying
I'm
like
sorry.
you have 20 people on your team. Do you want to repeat it?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So how do you foster these discussions? So you have the 20 people, you want to make sure you're supporting and helping them, manage their own relationships, but how do you create the dialogue and these conversations about responsibility and owning it and apologizing, all the things that are about relationships, really?
Yeah. So, okay. I mean, first of all, this vision and getting alignment piece, like I said, it's not okay, we set the North Star and 2 years later we're going to get here and we never talk about it again. Like this needs to be a regular cadence. Then back to this kind of employee empowerment piece. How do they take ownership? Well, first of all, they have to want it. So I don't want to have to sit around like holding each person accountable. I'm looking for people who are going to show up, who are going to do their part, who have the enthusiasm. And again, and also what is their impact on others, and are they putting their effort into the right places? If they're
Are you
not,
asking about that, or are you just watching for that?
I mean, some of it's both, but
Okay.
usually you have a sense. And then if I'm like, seems like Joe is kind of consistently missing the mark, maybe I need to check in with a few people and get some feedback, right? And so I think it's a bit of both. It's being perceptive, it's having open feedback channels,
Okay.
it's creating a, a, a culture where that becomes the norm. If it's like, oh, Lisa's only going to get involved when she thinks that there's a big problem, like,
yeah, I love
watch
this.
out, here she comes, she put a meeting on your calendar.
Yeah.
Then you got a problem. But if, I'm having constant dialogue, I'm doing regular one-on-ones,
there you
we
go.
have a relationship, right? We're constantly talking about these things. I'm transparent. I offer up when I think I might have messed up something, or I'm getting concerned because it seems like things are slipping, like what's going on. That
It's huge.
kind of transparency,
yeah,
and ongoing feedback and dialogue, and having a rapport with your team is, I think, the kind of the linchpin between all of it.
It's so important what you're saying. I mean, my job for decades has been to go in and try to help when teams are stuck because they're not having these dialogues. And so I think, one of the things that I've learned, and what you're saying, it makes so much sense, is the best way to give feedback is to invite it. It's if you're willing to say, tell me when you don't like something that I've done, tell me if you need something different from me, tell me, it opens the door for other people to be ready to hear it more if you genuinely are open to them telling you, whether they're reporting to you or not. So I love that you create that kind of conversations that are not one and done. It's not like we do this all the time.
Yep. And, in more formal businesses, I'll try to and bigger teams, I'll try to set up a meeting where the team has just a personal and professional check-in every week. And we take the time to share on both sides.
What does that look like? Walk us through that, please.
So let's say I've got a team of 25 people.
Okay.
Right. Maybe we can afford to have a team meeting every other week.
Okay.
And, but it needs to be consistent enough that you can recall that so-and-so had that thing last week, or, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. You've got to do it on a regular basis enough that you can build on the last one. And it wasn't so few and far between that you barely even remember the last time you met, right?
Yeah.
So cadence, bringing everyone together, intentionality. It starts with personal and professional check-in. And depending on the size of the team, right? Like I try to say, try to keep it to 3 minutes.
Okay.
If you've got something on the personal side that you want to take 2 minutes and 10 seconds on, and I'm not like timing it, but,
but you are aware, you're setting some expectations,
right?
Yeah.
And so doing that, and then, intentionally having that be, I don't want it to feel rushed.
Yeah.
I want people to have the time to share, especially when it's a remote. If you're mostly remote,
Which a lot
which
of
is
us
what I've
are.
been
Yeah.
doing for before COVID, to build that rapport. So
do people share just the good stuff? Like, is it or do they also share the tough stuff on the personal side?
it takes time, right? But maybe I'm the first one to share. Oh, I'm going through this thing. My mom is getting treatment for breast cancer,
Yeah.
or, my dog has been sick and she's old and you know what I mean? So it's like, maybe, I'm the first one that has to share something like that.
To make it okay. Well, that's the mirror neurons. Our brains are wired to follow. So if you go first as the leader, that opens the door. Maybe not the first time, right?
Right.
But eventually.
I usually try to keep it positive, right? But
yeah.
I also want people to know, like, everyone's going through something all the time. That is, if you can keep that in the back of your mind, right? And so maybe sometimes I need to say that.
Yeah.
And again, it's, to me, very much about being real, showing up with authenticity, and also being perceptive enough to know if someone's off. Do I need to have a separate conversation or talk to their manager and say, hey, something seems like it's up with, Sam.
Yeah.
Have you talked to him lately? And I feel like as a leader, that is a big part of your job.
Just to know, just to try to know. But how does your team or your teams over the years, how do they feel about these meetings that you have with personal and professional check-ins? Do they hate it? Do they love it? What is your perspective?
For the most part, I like the teams I've worked with we've worked together at multiple companies.
Yeah, they follow you.
It's not for everyone, but most people, want to be a part of something more meaningful like that. And frankly, like, if that's just not you, I'm probably not the right leader for you.
Right. People want to be known, don't they? They want to be known.
They want to be seen.
They want to be seen. Yeah. Yeah. This is amazing perspective on some very practical ways to bring yourself and your team to work to build a culture that some of us, what we take for granted or just what nobody's ever shown us. I mean, I remember when I first became a manager, my boss just didn't say things to me about how to be a better manager. And I thought, if I only had that window, it could have changed so many things that first time, that you don't have to fall down so quickly. And depending on, what our backgrounds are and the way we're raised and so forth, we don't all come to the workplace with these kinds of insights. But my read on you has always been that there's so much belief, you see so much below the surface, and how to bring that up to the surface for people. So
what's interesting though is I was not raised that way. We did not talk about these things in my house growing up. And like dinner, it was pulling teeth. Like, what happened in school today? How was that science test? Right? Yeah. Like, what was your grade? And
hence the space
how much
camp.
homework do you have?
Got
right?
it.
And it was never comfortable. But I think that part of it for me was that I did not enjoy that, and that was not for me the kind of environment I wanted to create.
Meaning that it was too factual, too pressured,
and it was very one-sided. I always felt like I was just being grilled.
I suspect some people feel that way at work. Yeah.
I'm sure, very much. But again, for me, I was like, I got to figure out how to make a more comfortable environment. And I know I do better in that environment. And I want to create that kind of environment for the team. And I was a part of a lot of teams, and I was an athlete. And I think I could see the difference even in the coaching styles and what worked and what didn't. And
my high school field hockey coach was able to inspire and take the same athletes to winning championships. And then we went to basketball and we had to leave one of the seats between us and the people on the bench so the coach could slam his fist. And the same athletes weren't performing based on, these two different styles. So, I'm a big believer in, yes, my high school coach, my hockey coach was tough. It wasn't that she didn't have high expectations, but what she communicated and the safety she created was so different that we could make mistakes, we could fail, we could express instead of feel like we just had to perform.
Yeah. So you actually just bring up this safety notion, which this term psychological safety was something I had not heard until probably about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But there was a big study done by Google, and it was around what creates the most high performing teams. And the number one factor was psychological safety.
Imagine that.
Yeah. And I mean, at this point, I was like, aha, right?
Yeah,
see,
well, it's kind of proved it. Yeah, after the fact. Yeah. Yeah. But creating it, what I appreciate about what you've done today, Lisa, is that you haven't just talked about psychological safety, that you've actually helped us see how to create it. That's the difference. And I think, look, we can know something's a good idea, but how to get there is a whole different matter. So this is
and think
great.
About this too is, when someone's leaving an organization, that's usually when they spew, right? Like they have their exit interview with the HR, and they're like, there's this thing that's not working and that thing that's not working and this person that's doing this and right? And a lot of times it's also like they have really great ideas.
Yeah.
And they're seeing like there's room for innovation here. This could be better. But for whatever reason, they're being shut down. And, or they're in their garage coming up with all their really cool creative ideas, and they're showing up at work being a robot doing what they're told.
Yeah.
And when you start to create this environment, again, psychological safety, where it's like, how could we do this better? How could we solve this better? This thing that we're trying, it's just not working. What's going on? What ideas do you have? What if we did this and I come up with some super crazy idea and they're like, no.
Yeah.
That's not going to work. Okay, well, what would work?
Yeah.
And so again, it's creating that environment where you can brainstorm and not be shut down. You can have a dialogue and work together to fix problems, and people feel like they have a voice, even if you don't use their idea, but it's not ever a dumb idea. It's how does that help us get to the idea that's going to, be feasible and solve the problem. And
I think that's sometimes the fear too, is that if I listen to it, that means we have to go forward. And that's not necessarily the case. It's about allowing for that voice and then deciding where you might go next, rather than just having to say yes to everything. You can't say yes to everything, but that the answers are within. The answers are within, right? If you create that safety.
They are.
Yeah.
Well, and I will say, that's been one of I think the coolest things that AI has done, at least from what I'm seeing in B2B marketing and a lot of the cultures and people that I'm talking to, is that there's a desire to explore, to try new things, to test it, and it's okay if you fail. And that's one of the things, actually, the CEO here at Metadata, Gil, is doing really, really well. And I'd say he's very leading edge with it. But most places I'm talking to, the aperture is opened.
That's great.
You know what? There are some new things coming out, new ways to do things, and we need to test them.
I love that you use the word explore again. There it is. Mission control. That's a perfect note to close on. Yeah, like being open to explore with your teams, with technology, instead of being certain, right? That we have that's like, don't take the first answer that AI gives you. Don't take it as a certainty. It's an exploration, right? So it's a way to find out more. Well, thank you so much. It's so good to see you, as I said at the beginning, and I appreciate you sharing your wisdom and your heart so that people can listen and learn from you and the success that you've had both in the field of marketing and with your team. So thanks for being here. And I'll look forward to being back again very soon with another guest on Shine a Light. Thank you, everyone.